Hi, thanks for joining me today. The topic today is earthing. First, a special hello to my listeners in Ottawa, Canada. Very glad to have you here. I appreciate your support of the show. So let's jump into this because I do have a lot of information to give you, and I think you're going to find it interesting. If you haven't heard of this, earthing is about having direct skin contact with the surface of the earth. And it's supposed to be with the bottom of your bare feet, but it can be your hands or other parts of your body. The theory is that when we physically connect with the ground, its electrical energy rebalances our own energy. And proponents of this believe that the rise in chronic illness can be attributed in part to our footwear. We've just recently started wearing shoes with rubber soles, which do not conduct electricity. So part of the argument is we've removed that contact from the earth, which could be making us unwell or unbalanced. Another thing they talk about is how we used to live more on the ground, on the earth, and now we're in homes. We don't sleep on the ground anymore. We sleep in raised beds. So there's a lot between us and the currency of the earth. Modern earthing is a fairly newish twist on this widespread belief in the healing potential of the earth. Practitioners of the traditional Chinese reflexology sometimes walk barefoot to stimulate the flow of energy, or also called qi, throughout their body. And being barefoot is also a feature of many indigenous cultures around the world. Several religions require devotees to remove their shoes to pray or enter a place of worship. So these ideas have been around in one form or another for a long time. But the specific practice of earthing has been having a moment since 2022 when it became a hot topic on social media. So I bought a book a lot back way before that. I think this book called Earthing came out. Let me see. It came out in 2014. So that's when I was first made aware of earthing by a friend who was really into electric currency, energy. And then my partner, who passed away recently, was very much part of what she did, working with energy. So she was really big into this. And I just want to kind of talk about this. We live on Earth, but we don't really touch the Earth anymore. So we used to have the skin of our bodies touching the skin of the Earth. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, we walked barefoot, we slept directly on the ground, we were at all times naturally charged with the healing energy of the earth. And today we mostly live and work insulated from the earth. We wear non-conducive shoes that have synthetic soles, we walk on carpeted floors, we sleep in elevated beds. We even live and work high off the ground in high rises, and we rarely go barefoot outside anymore. We're disconnected. So consequently, the theory is that our bodies have become chronically charged with inflammation and unnatural development, and one that appears to represent an overlooked reason why immune dysfunction and inflammation-related health disorders have become so common. We've lost our electrical roots is the theory, and the Earth's electrical ground that serves as a primordial anti-inflammatory protection. So that's from the book Earthing, and I'll mention the name of that and who wrote it in the show notes so that you can check it out yourself. It's interesting. So many people have heard of grounding, and they wonder, is grounding the same as earthing? It kind of is. I mean, you're going to get different answers depending on who you ask, but it is common to use those terms interchangeably. Grounding and earthing are two specific but related things. Grounding is the umbrella term for a wide range of mindfulness techniques, including physical grounding activities like earthing. So all earthing is grounding, but not all grounding is earthing. I hope that makes sense. One of the reasons that people distinguish between grounding and earthing is that not all grounding exercises involve connecting with the earth. You can ground yourself physically in many ways, including stretching, doing breath work, and engaging all your senses. Some of my favorite grounding exercises are doing long, deep breathing, sitting in a chair with my feet flat on the floor. They could count as earthing in the right setting. But most people do those activities indoors And if there's not earth or earth energy involved, it's not earthing. So, grounding techniques, unlike earthing, also don't have to be physical. They're often mental, and a few examples of mental grounding exercises include repeating mantras, doing distracting tasks like math or memory games. So, grounding and earthing are similar concepts, but earthing is more specific and it's based on a particular school of thought. Some of the benefits of earthing are that proponents claim is it can improve mood and reduce stress, improve sleep and prevent or treat fatigue, reduces inflammation, speeds healing and reduces pain, improves immune system function, improves multiple heart health metrics, modulates autonomic nervous system function. Again, this is what they claim. I'm not saying this is fact. Connecting with nature can absolutely benefit your physical and mental health, and it may be worth integrating into a holistic treatment plan for a chronic condition, but that does not mean that earthing can prevent or cure disease. Unfortunately, you don't have to spend too much time researching earthing to start finding unscientific claims about it, and in some cases, those claims could have dangerous effects. For example, some earthing claims that it can prevent or treat COVID or Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, among other conditions. There's no scientific proof that that's true, and it could prevent somebody from seeking treatment that is proven to be helpful. So, does the lack of solid research mean you have to give up on earthing? Of course not. I and many others have benefited greatly from earthing. The only way that you're going to know if it's going to be helpful for you is to try it. And not just once, it's something that you do regularly. So, as you might expect, there are debates about the merits of different earthing techniques. Some earthing adherents think direct contact with the ground or a natural body of water is absolutely necessary. Others believe you can get the same benefits by using special electrical conduction products. I think both are highly effective, and I'll get into this. So let's first start talking about the doing earthing outdoors. How do you do that? It can take many forms, and there's good news, they're free. So you would do each earthing session 30 minutes minimum. You can walk barefoot on real grass or soil. It won't work on fake grass. Sit or lie down on soil or grass. Your skin needs to be touching it. Sit in a chair and let your bare feet touch the earth. Can be grass or soil. And some people think that sand is good too. And we're going to talk about that. I'm not going to rule it out, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Swim or relax in a natural body of water. Get your hands dirty by touching, gardening, or playing with soil. Lie on the sand of a beach. And I just want to mention, this is why I don't rule it out. I'm a beach person, not a beach person. I'm an ocean person. The beach just happens to be there. But when I'm there, I always walk barefoot, even in winter, even in very cold weather. I will walk barefoot on the beach and get my feet in that ocean water. And just as soon as my feet hit that sand, I feel so good. I feel so grounded, so uplifted at the same time. There's many benefits. So if you live in a place where you've got a beach, walk on the sand. You can also practice the Japanese practice known as forest therapy or forest bathing. And that may not work if, depending on the clothing or footwear choices, again, your body needs to touch the forest. And the same is true for hiking and camping. It's great you're getting out there, but if the soles of your shoes are synthetic, it might be a problem. So you go hiking and then take a break, take your shoes and socks off, put your feet on the soil for 30 minutes, go back to your hiking. Same thing with camping. All earthing devotees believe outdoor earthing is good for you. No question about it. Because I live in central Arizona where grass is rare, and in my neighborhood, soil is covered with gravel, I gravitate to what I call watering. I go to Oak Creek, I sit on a large flat rock next to the creek and dangle my feet in the cold running water. I receive the same benefits from this type of earthing as I have with soil and grass. So if you live near a creek, a stream, a river, you can do that instead. Indoor earthing is where things get more controversial. Some believe that earthing can only be done outside, as I mentioned, and some people won't do it outdoors or they can't leave their home. So let's talk about how to do earthing indoors. Not everybody has equal access to Mother Nature, and some mental health disorders make it difficult to feel safe in uncontrolled or unfamiliar surroundings. There's a variety of reasons. If somebody has physical limitations, getting outside to a place to do earthing might be a problem. This is where indoor earthing comes in. It's why it was created. There's a whole cottage industry dedicated to bringing the benefits of the great outdoors inside. You can buy products that claim to bring the energy of the earth to you, including mats, shoes, blankets, mattress pads, adhesive patches. Do they work? It depends on who you ask and potentially your own experience. I've used a grounding mat for years now. I'm going to show this to you. This is mine. It's got a very long cord attached to it, so bear with me. You'll see it rolls up, small and compact for storage and travel, and I do take it with me traveling. You just unroll it and plug it in. It tells you the side that's conducive. That's the side you put your feet on. Plug it in, and you're instantly getting the same electrical energy you would if you were putting your feet on the earth's soil, grass, sand. So I gotta say, I use mine under my feet as I'm working, sometimes as I'm recording this podcast, often when I'm on sessions, in session with clients. Why not? I need to discharge a lot of energy and I need to restore myself, keep myself balanced. I'm dealing with people who are having a lot of traumatic experiences happening, counseling them through that. So it helps me a lot just to stay calm and grounded. I have slept on that one when I felt particularly unbalanced, but you can get these on many different sites. And as I mentioned earlier, they come in sizes that attach like to half the mattress if one of you wants it, the whole mattress if you both want it. The only downside I found to the mat is I can't sleep well on it. I can feel the frequency it's emitting and it stimulates me, so it keeps me awake. Others sleep on it every night just fine. So again, you'll need to try these things for yourself to see what works for you and what doesn't. There's a few results that I found other than mine. I mean, I can always share my experience with you, but it's kind of nice to hear some other people's too, isn't it? So this is one I found on breathguru.com. And the gentleman says, the first time I ventured outside, full of anticipation, it was a crisp autumn day. The sun kept disappearing behind the clouds, but when it shone without hindrance, it warmed the skin with a distant memory of summer. I slipped off my shoes and walked across my garden, feeling fairly self-conscious. Was I supposed to be thinking certain thoughts or doing something specific with my feet? But then I remembered the advice I got. Get out of your head and redistribute your energy throughout your body. And I moved my focus onto what I could feel. The green, luscious grass had a dewy, damp feeling that was accentuated by the spongy moss that had somehow taken root beneath the turf. And the springiness was at contrast with the scattering of crisp, dead leaves that lay atop it. I stepped across their crackly surfaces and felt them break beneath the soles of my feet. Then I stopped next to an old plum tree. I rested my hand lightly against the scratchy, hard bark of the trunk and ran my fingers up and down its cracks, feeling the roughness of its texture. I wriggled my toes in the deliciously tickly grass and just stood still, leaning into the moment. The wind rustled through the branches, and a lone bird sung a heartfelt tune somewhere behind me. I could feel the breeze on my face and the ground beneath my feet, and there was something in these sensations that seemed to soothe my soul. I pressed my feet into the earth and closed my eyes, and as I breathed in and out deeply, I imagined roots spreading out from under my feet, connecting my inner self with the ground below. The feeling of being grounded was so intense, it took me by surprise. Putting my shoes on after those few minutes felt like an inconvenience. My toes were forced into the shape of my boots and they felt contained and encumbered where they'd previously felt free and unrestrained. In the days following, I tried grounding every morning, taking pleasure in the nature around me and feeling the earth in a way I hadn't seemed to do before. I did it less mindfully too. I hung out some washing on a blustery, bright day without first slipping on my shoes. I held some shells in the palm of my hand and dug my hands deep into the soil with my daughter as we explored the outside. And I shook out doormats while standing barefoot on our natural stone patio. Yes, it was a little chilly at times, but I came to embrace the coolness of the ground and the freshness of the air as an energizing remedy to the stuffiness of the indoors. I can't say for sure if my week of grounding improved my sleep or if it was the reason for my balanced emotions that week, but I do know that stepping outside in the fresh air was good for me. There's something magical about connecting to the earth with your bare feet and hands. And it's a reminder that the simple joy and healing prowess of the great outdoors should not be overlooked, even in autumn and winter. I love the poetic way that this person writes this review of earthing. Another person, Tom, says, I used to wake up every night with extremely painful leg cramps, and this started about 8 years ago. About 5 years ago, I put a grounding mat in my bed, placed so my feet rest on it while sleeping. The only occurrence of cramp I've had since I started using the mat was one night when I did not notice that the wire connecting the mat to earth had come unclipped. That's kind of good because he didn't plan that, but he found out the hard way, didn't use it, he got the cramps. Another person reports I was pretty skeptical at first, thinking it's all about being in nature, but trust me, it's more than that. Earthing has brought about a huge change in my life. For starters, my sleep quality has improved a ton. I was struggling with insomnia for quite a while, and this practice has been a total game changer for me. Additionally, my energy levels have skyrocketed. I used to be tired all the time, but now I can go through my day without feeling drained out by evening. And the best part, less stress. I feel so much calmer and grounded. And lastly, another person says, I sleep on a mat every night and also ground outside 30 minutes per day. I can't say I've had the physical changes that some folks speak of, but mentally I'm grounded and I have been able to make decisions quicker with less stress. Each person's experience is different. They have their own reasons for getting involved in earthing, but overall it seems that mental health benefits are the most prevalent. So are there negative side effects or risks of earthing? I think it's pretty low risk, but there's some exceptions. And these are just a few things to consider if you are thinking about making earthing part of your spiritual practice. First off, let's talk about shoes. We invented them for a reason. They protect our feet. If your earthing practice involves walking around barefoot, you're risking injury, allergic reactions, and infections, so be careful where you step. Perhaps wear shoes until you find the spot where you want to sit, then put your feet on the ground or the grass or the sand. Put your shoes back on when you're done. That's what I do. Because I live in Arizona where everything has stickers or stingers. If swimming's your earthing technique of choice, the primary risks are contracting a waterborne infection and drowning, but you should only be dangling your feet in. You can get all the way in, but there's no more risk than there is of wading or swimming. Choose your location carefully, follow water swimming safety precautions, and be sure to check weather conditions before you take the plunge. Mindfulness is all about being aware of your surroundings, so trust what you're sensing. And don't hesitate to leave an area if you feel unsafe. And that's not just with grounding or earthing, but with anything. Just make sure indoor grounding products like the mat I showed you are plugged into a grounded electrical outlet. Never use them during a thunderstorm. They pose an electrocution risk in the event of a lightning strike. Earthing advocates also recommend having an electrician check any outlet you plan to use with a grounding device because faulty wiring could result in electric shock. I personally never heard of anybody experiencing that, but hey, it could happen. Earthing is a practice that's accessible to pretty much everybody. And that's one of the things I love about it. It costs nothing to do it outside, and anybody can do it. After all, it's hard to be completely removed from the natural world, even today. But while earthing is accessible, it's not always advisable. Some earthing techniques may be off limits or require extra caution if you have chronic medical conditions. So be sure to think about this and look into it. If you have any kind of foot issues, you might want to check with your podiatrist to see if barefoot walking is safe for you. If you have nerve damage, have reduced sensation in your feet, you might not notice minor injuries that happen when walking barefoot outdoors, and you might not feel a problem with your grounding mat. So, I have never had a problem with my grounding mat, but I am very particular about walking outdoors because I do have nerve damage in my feet and I can't feel minor cuts. So, if that happens, I would not be one to just go willy-nilly walking around outdoors. I would choose a place, go there, take my shoes off, and put my feet in a safe place. If you're allergic to specific insect bites or stings, watch where you're going, carry your EpiPen with you. If you're pregnant, be extra cautious. There are many contaminants, infectious organisms in soil that could impact fetal development. And if you have immune system issues, if it's compromised, touching soil or swimming in a natural body of water could raise your risk of an infection. You might want to talk to your doctor first. Earthing websites often advise that the process might make you feel worse before it makes you feel better. If you feel like you're coming down with a cold or a flu, you're likely detoxing. Drink a lot of water for 24 hours after your earthing session. And if you're tired, take a nap, go to bed early, get a little extra sleep, be gentle with yourself. You should feel better within 2 to 3 days. Over time, with regular earthing, the detox effect lessens as you're taking care of your frequency. So, earthing, again, is the practice of connecting with the earth's energy by either making direct physical contact with the ground, water, sand, or using specialized electric conduction products like my grounding mat. While there's some evidence to suggest earthing is good for your health, these claims are not backed by high quality research, but there's a growing body of evidence suggesting that earthing does benefit our physical and mental health. Earthing's generally safe, provided you take basic health and safety precautions. But again, people with chronic conditions or certain medications might need to take special precautions. And remember, some online resources from earthing can contain medical disinformation, so read about the topic with a critical eye. There is no scientific evidence that it can prevent or cure disease, but plenty of evidence that does provide balance, calming, and better mental health. So I hope you're encouraged to give it a try, whether it's indoor or outdoor. Come back and leave a comment about your experiences. I think you will feel the difference. And even if you only do it when you feel you need it, that's fine. You don't have to do it on a regular basis. But for those people who have trouble grounding and balancing, you might find that necessary. Thank you for tuning in. Just know that next Sunday, the topic is developing empathy. I've had numerous people ask me if that's possible, and if so, how. So we're going to talk about that. And in the meantime, may your angels surround you. May your angels protect you every moment, every day of your life. I'll see you next week.